Live now.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the FiveStack. My name is Dean. You can get me at deanblundell.substack.com. My friend Zev Shalev, narrative.org. That's where you can find his work. And it is so good to be back. I was sick as fuck.
We missed
Pardon
you.
my language this
We
weekend.
missed
Yeah, I don't
you.
know if you did. I don't know
No,
if you
we
did.
missed
You
you.
know, what was funny is I was watching the destruction of the Epstein files,
Mm.
and I was watching Donald Trump literally remove his name from the Epstein files this weekend. And I thought, I'm gonna I'm gonna hang on to the bullets and we'll wait till Monday. Now we're here, and I've got a lot to say. A lot to say.
I can't wait to
So
hear your take on it because
yeah.
you haven't had a chance to opine, and the rest of us have. We've had a lot of coverage of the Epstein files. We'll have more coming on later in this show. Plus, we've got Jacob Kaarsbo coming on to talk about this crazy thing that Denmark is doing, or that America is doing to Denmark, by appointing this new envoy to Greenland that is, questionable to say the least. And what the
Landry.
yeah.
Yeah. No. Dude. This is one of the great stories of all time. If you want to know how Donald Trump does business, and I can tell you this because we've got the Canadian ambassador who's a Maple MAGA operative. His name's Pete Hoekstra, and he's on like every single far right Canadian podcast this week going, "This is a travesty. We should be best friends. Canada should come all the way over to our side." I'm like, we need to get to the conversation about Denmark, because what the Denmark conversation dictates is the Canada conversation, is the Greenland conversation, is the entire MO of the Trump regime to take over certain aspects of Canada and Greenland. And listen, Canada is preparing for war. And
World
that's
is.
really
The world
important to
is.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a challenging thing. I'm dying to ask Jacob about this. The world is really on a pre-war footing right now, and
Mhm.
very little is going to change that. So I'm looking forward to talking to him. Plus, we've got the latest on Venezuela. We've got a lot of other good things about what they're doing underneath the White House, where they were supposedly building a ballroom. Is it really a ballroom? Plus, we'll talk about the 60 Minutes being spiked yesterday. That big story about the
CCOT.
Steve Cott, which is just stunning on its face as well. And it's good timing because look who just joined us. Jacob Kaarsbo is here. And if I just do this, there, hello, Jacob. How
Come
are
on,
you?
get in here. Get in here.
Yeah, he's here.
Huh? My
He's here.
favorite Dane. My
Hey,
favorite Dane.
Hey,
There he
gents.
is.
how are you?
You good looking son of a bitch. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm just out of the bush.
Oh yeah, what
Oh,
are you
yeah,
doing in
yeah.
the
No,
bush?
dude, like literally, I texted him this weekend when the Denmark stuff started to break, and I'm like, hey, do you want to come on and talk with us? And
Yeah.
I was sick all weekend, and he's like, I'm in Africa on a safari. I'll
Oh
talk to you on the
nice.
22nd. So here we are.
Did you see the Big Five?
Yeah.
All of them? That's
Actually,
pretty good.
yesterday, within 8 hours, we saw the big five.
That's great. And how close were you to like the elephant or the lion?
Elephant quite close.
Scary,
We
eh?
had some very good sightings of elephant, but the best was leopard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's pretty.
And it
Oh, the
goes
one in the
down to
tree
my
that you
wife
posted
that
on Substack.
really
Yeah,
made
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
perfect spotting.
Where were you on the safari? Where did you go? Can you say?
Kruger.
Oh, you went to Kruger. Oh, my old
Yeah.
my old hunting ground. Not
Yeah.
the national
This was
park.
from Olifants.
Okay, great.
We went along the Timbawati River. And it was a good day.
Sounds amazing. What a nice trip to take. And now where are you now? Are you back home?
Cape Town.
You're in Cape Town, the lovely city of Cape Town, my favorite city in the world, actually.
Yeah. He's in Cape Town. And so I
Exactly.
texted him this weekend. I'm like, hey, dude, can you come on and talk to us about what's going on in Denmark? New dude. And they put the new envoy in there. He's like, I can, but I'm on an African safari. So can you give me a minute? And then he
Gents,
texted me today.
hang
He's
on
like,
a sec. There's some interference here in my Matthias, er du på min? Okay.
you good?
Okay, I should be okay now.
Yeah.
All
I can
right.
hear you.
All right. All right. So
But
I was just telling the story about how.
Let me just check whether my AirPods are connected.
We can
Okay.
definitely
Sonny
hear you.
stole them.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll tell the story
He stole
about
the
how.
connection.
Yeah. I'll tell the story. So just mute him for a bit if you can, Zev.
Yeah, no
So
problem. We go back to
we
the
get to a point this last weekend where Denmark is now ground zero for Trumpism, right? Like it's Greenlander bust. He sends a different ambassador to Denmark, and then he names a special envoy named Tom Landry, who's the governor of Louisiana, who's gonna fucking get crushed in the next election. And he's like, I'm naming him my special envoy to Greenland with no experience whatsoever in being a diplomat, no experience whatsoever in what Greenland, Denmark, which is the country that kind of secures Greenland security. It's been part of Greenland's world for the last 200 years. And he's like, I'm going to send Tom Landry there. Tom Landry wrote literally a dissertation on why it's important for America to own Greenland like 3-4 years ago. So he's going to lose his job. And Tom Landry, then, not to be confused with the former Cowboys head coach, Tom Landry, he then goes and says, I'll take this job as a special envoy to Greenland, which really is the special envoy to take Greenland away from Denmark. And I want to hand it over to Jacob Kaarsbo, who literally this weekend, I'm like, can you come and talk to me about it? He goes, I'd love to, but I'm on a safari.
Nice life. Nice life.
Anyway, throw it to you, Jacob. What can you tell us about not just Landry, but of the ambassador that was summoned to the Danish headquarters today, and what's going on? Yeah. What's happening?
Yeah, summoned to the MFA again in Copenhagen. I mean, I think the American ambassador gets called more to our MFA than the Russian ambassador nowadays, which is intriguing, to say the least. But it's gone crazy. I came literally out of the bush, and I've had very precious little internet connection for about a week. And the first thing I see is this news about Jeff Landry, and
Jeff, sorry, not Tom.
named the and uh, here we go again. But I think the strange thing is, even in Denmark, some people have fantasized that this wouldn't happen, where me and some others have said, well, this is the way it's gonna go. It's only going to get worse. And some people have hoped, okay, no, it'll be settled. And if the other NATO countries talk nice to Trump, then perhaps go away and all that. But it's rubbish. So here we go again. And I even saw this news article today with the journalist saying that now Trump was uh, putting having the new ambassadors work put off the rails by doing this. But essentially that's nonsense, because the ambassador is all in on this stuff, and he's one of these tech bros that have really nurtured this whole idea of taking over Greenland for Trump. So he's all in.
This is quite remarkable what's going on. I mean, for the Danish foreign minister to be summoning the U.S. ambassador today to ask these questions about what the special envoy will do there. Now, people should realize that most Greenlanders, if that's how you say it, have voted against the idea of joining the United States. They have no interest in doing that. And yet the American administration is sending over this guy, Jeff Landry, who's currently the Louisiana governor, as you mentioned, but also, a real sort of Greenland proponent and a Greenland takeover proponent. Yeah, so it's just,
investor. Exactly.
So what do you make of this? Because you got these. This is war talk, right? I mean, basically, this is the pre-war to war.
Yeah.
I'm asking for your comment. Can you hear us still?
The line broke a little bit. Yeah, it's pre-war talk, and the strange thing about some Danes have been that because the new ambassadors here is and talking nicely about reinvigorating the Danish-U.S. relationship and all that bullshit, bullshit, throwing sand into the eyes of people, then it'll all go away, which is bullshit. And I was like saying to people today, okay, if we can get some historians to explain to people what the German ambassador said in 1939 when he was in Copenhagen before Hitler invaded us, didn't he say the same nonsense diplomatic bullshit. And what's the Russian ambassador saying about how it's Denmark destroying the Danish-Russian relationship and all that bullshit. And it's the same with Ken Howery. It's just really, really bad what's going on. But I think most people hopefully are getting it now and stop fantasizing that this will go away.
You know, and I'm really glad to hear you mention that, Jacob, because it's the same playbook for every single situation that the United States wants to insert themselves into. And I say that with great respect to Americans who are not MAG Americans.
Mm.
You know, and it's really important to kind of make that difference with the distinction, especially today, is that, you know,
Yeah.
the large portion of Americans are aghast with
Mm.
the rhetoric around invading Greenland, which picked up again 2 days ago. And we're in the middle of the Epstein files dump, which went terribly for Donald Trump yesterday. It's going to continue to go terribly for him because there's no way he's going to give that up. And so he's looking for any distraction that he can. And when you talk about Danish, sovereignty over Greenland, you talk about Greenland sovereignty. And then you talk about how Donald Trump is trying to build a coalition within Greenland to be able to convince people in Denmark and in Greenland to be able to convince those people that Denmark would be better off being part of an American colony. It's very reminiscent about what we've seen here with Canada, right? Which is
Yeah.
Canada is a 51st state. Canada is a vassal state. They look at Denmark the same way. It's part of that national security strategy behind the idea that we need to live in a multipolar world where, Donald Trump gets access to all of Canada and Greenland shit, and as does America, and we just get to give it to them. And that's very, very similar to what's going on with Denmark, what's going on in Greenland, what's going on with the special envoy, what's happening in Canada with Pete Hoekstra, who is a fucking nightmare of an ambassador. He's not an ambassador. He's a fucking mega operative. That's all he is. And that's all the operative is going into Greenland. That's all the Danish ambassador is from the United States into Greenland. They're all operatives on behalf of Donald Trump and MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I'll tell you what, when you see this whole talk that was yesterday about, again, this repeating the nonsense of we need it for national and international security and all that bullshit. It's a page right out of Putin's playbook.
Mhm.
It's the same. It's the
Same
same
arguments.
bullshit. Yeah, yeah. It's the same arguments that you hear from the Kremlin. It's because they think alike, and yeah, that's the dangerous part.
Well, Putin likes to think
But
of it. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm telling you, I really, really hope our authorities will play this hard and play this hard against the operatives and all the subversive influence that they've already started exercising against Greenland and against Denmark, and PNG people, and close the consulate in Nuuk and all that. Because why? Because that will force and also strengthen the military presence along with our European allies. Because why? That would put pressure on Trump to go for like larger scale military planning to take over
Force his
Greenland,
hand. Yeah.
force
That's
his
good. That's
hand,
good points you're
and
making.
and that would get leaked.
Yeah.
As Malcolm Nance is also saying, that would get leaked, and then that will start a big uproar in the U.S. I'm quite confident. So
This war
so we
really
we
is
need to play it hard.
dangerous.
Yeah, like you need to play it with some backbone, like which you've said time and
Mhm.
time again, and it's something that Canada's done time and time again, which is
Yeah.
go, yeah, we're not doing this. We're not doing what you want us to do, and I think that is in itself the answer, right? Which is how do you tell a president of the United States who's hell bent on taking over allied countries that he's not allowed to? You show him, and you show them in the European Union, and you show them in Canada, and you move away from any procuration aspects of your relationship and you move away from every comfortable aspect of those relationships. And Canada is willing to do that. But what
Yeah,
shocks me is how many EU countries are not. And you're an
yeah,
ocean away.
yeah. And the UK, for instance.
Mm,
It's the same. It's the same nonsense going on, and but that whole thing of not being able to stand up and put pressure on Trump. That means that only invites further aggression,
mm,
like
mm.
with Putin. It's the same reaction because as soon as he senses
Yeah, he sees
weakness,
people
he'll
not doing
push.
anything. He'll do something, right?
Yeah.
Now, Europe's already on a war footing. It seems like getting ready for a war footing. At least there's lots of planning for each of these countries in Europe. Someone told me the other day there's 1.5 million standing armies, a standing army of 1.5 million people in all the European nations combined. That's a lot of people. I didn't expect there to be such a huge army out of Europe. This is going to be a formidable battle, but it does seem to me like both sides are building up for that battle. And when both sides build up for a war, sometimes that war happens just because everyone's building up towards it. Is it is there another way other than just trying to be as forceful as we can be against America? Is there another way out of this? Is there a way that you can think of that's not going to be so confrontational?
I think the only way to avoid war and military escalation is by showing we're not afraid of it.
Mhm.
It's deterrence. It's the same way deterrence works against Putin. And if you show weakness, if you show you're not willing to go go all the way and go all in, then you invite further provocation, further aggression, and it's the same with Trump. And the only way you can get out of a bad situation is through deterrence, and that's the way you can avoid war. And it's interesting you point to how many soldiers there are in Europe, because the problem is not what we have, because we actually have quite a lot, except for nuclear. But the problem is we can't fight together.
Ah,
We don't have a command structure. We only have a command structure in NATO, and that's contingent upon U.S. leadership.
right.
Mhm.
So now that this
So
is almost like an Article 5 attack on NATO in some ways.
yeah, I mean it's a blatant violation of the North Atlantic Treaty that the Americans wrote themselves.
Mhm.
It's crazy. It's Article 1. If you see what Trump has done and the number of violations of the North Atlantic Treaty over the last 10 months, it's crazy. So you can't, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, when our intelligence service talked about the threat from the US. Formally, you can call the US an ally, but in reality, no. In reality, the US is a threat, not an ally, and
Yeah,
you
and
can't be
that's
both. You can't be both. I mean, let's be
well,
serious.
and that's the hard part is you've got certain countries that are in receipt of U.S. military equipment who they are an ally when it comes to the U.S. military industrial complex. Denmark would be one of those countries. Canada
Yeah,
might be one of those countries if we don't choose the Gripen or over the F-35. And
yeah,
when I think about what the United States has done over the past 80 years, which is embed themselves across Europe, across Asia, Asian countries to provide, relief and a world police sort of aspect to security around, geopolitical encumberments. But when I think about what's going on now, is you cannot, like, if I'm the Danish government and I'm flying these F-35s, and if I'm the Canadian government and I'm thinking about buying 22 F-35s, I'm like, there is no chance I can trust this government
no,
anymore at all.
no. They violate their own treaty, for heaven's sake.
How long do we think we have before war? I mean, honestly, like if you're looking at the what's going on right now and the pace of everything, if Donald Trump stays in power beyond the next election and even the next presidential election, or someone like him, is war in the next 2 years? Is war within the next 3 years? What are we talking about? 10 years?
I still think deterrence can work.
Hmm.
I still think deterrence can work, and I still think it will be impossible for Trump to muster, a decision and the force required to go for a military solution. I remember back in January, Politico wrote that the U.S. military takeover of Greenland would be the world's shortest war, but no, not necessarily, because Trump will, can't do it covertly. It'll get leaked, and the US wouldn't be able to approach Greenland without due notice to everyone, and it would create an uproar like crazy. So it'd be really troublesome for Trump and his administration. Now they've done so much stuff that you would say no American president would be able to do. But I still think that this would be hard. We can't rule it out, and that's why we have to make our own posture. And by doing that,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we can deter it, so it doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, you draw your own line in the sand. I mean, it's the same thing that's going on in Ukraine right now, right? Right? It's you
Mhm.
tell the United States that they're no longer involved in your business. You tell the United States that they're no longer involved in your sovereignty. You tell the United States that, listen, it doesn't matter what you say or do. We don't trust you. And that's what Canada, that's the posture of Canada, right? It's
Mm.
not just, hey, listen, we don't trust your leader. It's we don't trust anybody around your leader to decide what's best for us when it comes to security, when it comes to trade, when it comes to international alliances. That's the difference. That's where we're at right now, which I find fascinating that nobody is picking up on that idea that, hey, listen, everything has changed. Like you can't. You've said this time and time again. I know that my friend Alex de Rebecca office has said this several times. I know that Alex from our guy from the Voice of Ukraine has said you can't subject Donald Trump to any regular thinking of, okay, well, you get caught. He's going to come out and do what's best for his political career. He's not. He's not. He's a dictator. He's a dictator who
Yeah.
knows that everybody else has the goods on him, and he will do everything he can to protect his own reputation according to world balance, according to the security of people in every single part of the United States of America and Canada and Greenland. He will fucking sell NATO and the EU out because he is that compromised. That
Yeah.
compromised.
You didn't
Yeah.
give me an answer there on the years, by the way. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but I just how many years till war?
I think he said today. I think
He
he said
said
we're at
today.
war now.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. What did you give me an actual how long it'll
I'm
take?
sorry. As you know, I've been in the bush.
Yeah.
Who said that today about war?
No, no, I'm
Zev
asking
asked you,
you.
like, how long we are away from war, some kind of war.
Okay. Yeah, I think it can be avoided, but we
But
need
if
a
you had
posture
one, if we had to
to
have
avoid
one,
it.
when would it be?
Yeah.
Can you give us an answer to that? Is there a perspective on? I know the Danish military intelligence people have said within a year, within 5 years, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's it depends. It could also be in a shorter time span because, like, for instance, Putin will not wait 5 years and gather a big huge army and blah blah blah. No, he will start gray zone attacks
Right.
and start little green men in the Baltics and stuff like that. He doesn't want the Europeans to gain time and to rearm properly, etc., etc.
Mm.
So the big danger of going with these timelines is that Putin is not necessarily rational like that, looking at his own army, because if we talk about you need to go to war with the army you have, he's like, he doesn't really he doesn't even care, because he will always fall back and say, we have the will, these guys are weak, they don't have the will, so I'll push them.
Well, it's a bit challenging to
That's
hear.
probably the that's probably the
How
mindset
nice is that to hear?
when I look
That's
at it.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
there we
it's
go.
really, really, really comforting
You got
shit.
a couple of years for war, okay, no problem. I don't think you gave us a couple of years, but whatever you said was it's soon. A Danish defense intelligence expert, former Danish intelligence officer, Jacob
UN
Kaarsbo.
Security Council member
Everything.
Jacob Kaarsbo.
He's
Yeah.
brilliant, and a soon-to-be published author again in a new book, and all sorts of other amazing things. Thank you, V, for
And
being here on the
Safari
FiveStack.
aficionado.
Yes, and now was it a Big Five seer or watcher? So we get to wear that badge too, a spotter.
Spotter.
Yes.
Spotter.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a Big Five spotter. We got Jacob Kaarsbo, the Big Five spotter, on the
Yeah.
show today. Listen, Jacob, always great to have you on. Former Danish intelligence officer, former UN Security Council member. He understands where the chess pieces are. He can tell you where they're going to be moved, and that's why we love having you on. And the fact that you do this for us all the time would encourage everybody to hit that Chiron at the top, little gray button where you can go and follow Jacob. Give him a follow. You need more of him in your life, specifically when it comes to what's going on in the EU, because I can tell you this is that is what Trump wants to happen in North America, and it will affect every North American, whether you're Canadian or American. Jacob Kaarsbo is your guy. Thanks, Jacob. Great to see you.
Good to see you again. We'll
All right,
talk
my
soon.
man. You got
Enjoy
it.
the Cape Town nightlife, or have a good steak on me. It's a really good one there. Have a good one.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Bye-bye.
great to be here.
Cheers.
Great
See you
to see you.
soon.
All right, there you go, Jacob Kaarsbo, everybody.
Yes.
I worry about him in Cape Town. I hear stories about like BMWs that have flames that shoot out from underneath the cars.
I wouldn't worry about. It's true that there are stories like that. I don't think that was a sort of a bit of a urban myth a few years ago. I don't think there actually are those things. But
Is it not true?
I don't think so. But I haven't been there for a while either. But I can tell you, yeah, I wouldn't worry about Jacob. I'm sure he's got his street smarts. I'm sure he knows how to get around a major
Yeah, he's a
international
spy,
city.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
sure
he's a
got-
spy. He's spent a
got
lot
the
of time in
skills.
Iraq.
Yeah, he's got skills in urban areas. I don't worry about
That's
him.
why I fucking love talking to him. He's like, you'll talk to him about like these serious issues when it comes to North America, Canada, the EU, and he laughs about it. And I'm like, only a guy who has seen the worst of the worst as a spy, as a Danish spy, can go, no big deal. We'll get through this.
I got to
It's
tell
all
you,
good.
he's in the most beautiful city. Have you been to Cape Town?
I have not, but I heard
Oh.
it's fucking unbelievable.
It is
Yeah.
one beautiful city. It is just, it's got a good soul to it. It's got the mountains, there's gorgeous oceans, two of them. Great wine, great food, lovely people. It's just great. So,
Well, let's go. Let's
having
take
a
our
good-
listeners with us. We'll go to Cape
Yes,
Town.
maybe the South African Tourism Board wants to take us there. or
The
something.
South
South
African
African.
Tourist Board. South African. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
in a
love how you
while.
say it.
Hey, we
Yeah.
have a sponsor. Well, not a sponsor. I should call them a partner now because
Yeah.
we have not had any sponsors on the show because we're not really into that whole selling out to the corporate parts of the universe and selling all
But
sorts.
there are good corporate people that you can sell out to, and good. We have sold out to a great corporation.
Yeah, this is great. This is a company that is really aligned with what we do here at the FiveStack. It's called Ground News, and you've probably seen it elsewhere on Substack. And what they do is they aggregate a whole bunch of different news
Mhm.
perspectives all in a single place. So Ground News takes any story, like say the Epstein files, whatever it is, and they show you how it's been covered across the entire media landscape. It's not just one perspective. It's not right now, especially with like the Epstein story. There's so many different sides to that story, or at least two very sharpened sides. And they go through all these sources. They do it side by side, and you can see which outlets are covering the story in which way. So I'm sure you're getting a lot more Clinton coverage on the Fox side. There you go. And a lot more Trump coverage on the left. But really, it's really fascinating to see that contrast in one place. And many sources of news. I think they go through thousands every day. And pick
Oh
out
my
the best
God, Ground News. If you haven't been, go to ground.news. Go there today. I have been a subscriber for years, And what they do is they give you the news, then they tell you who's reading it, why they're reading it, then they'll tell you who it helps and why it doesn't help them. And really the incredible part is that they take themselves out of the actual op-ed experience,
Yeah.
which is why ground news is incredible. Because they'll tell you who's reading it, why they're reading it, but then they'll take their hands off the wheel and say, go ahead and read it. Let us know what you think. And when you go to ground.news, groundnews.co, groundnews.com, what you get is a real understanding of what the information that we were supposed to get was supposed to look like in the first place, where you can decide what it is, where you can let yourself kind of, oh, I get it. I can kind of understand what this is. And you can literally breathe when you read information again,
Yeah.
when you get affirmation again, when you understand what's going on. And they'll tell you who's looking at it, why they're looking at it, whether it's left or right, and they'll remove the bias. And they've got this incredible blind spot feature, by the way. And
Yeah.
I want everybody to notice this because I've used them for a long period of time, where you can say that's a blind spot that a lot of people on the left or a lot of people on the right are going to be aware of, but they won't notice it. And when you get to that feature, specifically, you go to Ground News, and I know we've got a little bit of a discount for people. We'll add that in a second. But when you go to Ground News, you can be assured you're getting information that makes sense to you, that you don't have to go, oh, someone's trying to curate my opinion. That's the beauty of Ground News. If you want information, if you want affirmation that you're not crazy, Ground News is the way to go. Guaranteed.
Yeah, and it gets you the news much quicker too. So the
Yeah.
deal that they have for our viewers at FiveStack is really phenomenal. You get 40% off if you sign up for Ground News at groundnews.com/FiveStack. That's FIVE stack. You sign up today because you'll get a lot more knowledge about the news. If you're a follower of FiveStack, you already care about all the different perspectives. You already care about the truth. You're going to care about Ground News because their coverage is all about the same stuff. Their mission statement's so similar to ours. It's all about independent news coverage and figuring out who's saying what and what the perspectives are. So 40% off at groundnews.com/FiveStack.
Did you get that, everybody? Groundnews.com/FiveStack. Very important because I know how much you all love a discount. We all love a discount.
It's a good deal.
Discounts are the best. 40% off, getting real news delivered to you every day. You will love it. I guarantee you do. I get up every morning. I check my Ground News app. Everybody else should do it. Go there right now. Make sure you take advantage of this opportunity because our friends at Ground News have been my friends for a long time and my resource. Sort of like a secret weapon. They can be yours too. And you get 40% off. And you can say goodbye to every other news app you have, which is beautiful. So make sure you go to groundnews.com/FiveStack. Get your 40% off today.
All right. We have some other big news happening, and we should have maybe kept Jacob for this because this is a really interesting story all about the White House bunker. Spy Talk is reporting that the Trump administration has for the first time acknowledged there was a substantial security issue related to the destruction of the East Wing. An apparent reference to the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, that's the highly secure underground bunker built to protect the president from enemy attack. They demolished the entire East Wing to build a $400 million ballroom. The bunker work is expected to be completed by the end of this month. A federal judge declined to hold construction despite the National Trust's lawsuit, and the government argued it was a matter of national security, arguments that have been kept secret from the public. So, yes, they're building a ballroom, so they claim, but really what they're doing underneath is
Fear bunker.
Is a bunker, a very
fear
different
bunker.
kind of bunker.
Yeah,
Many people are speculating it's a digital bunker. It's an Oracle server bunker.
it is.
Yeah.
So effectively, what everybody is talking about here is nebulous, right? When we find out that Donald Trump has misappropriated a bunch of money and he's lying about the ballroom, which is no big deal. We already understood that the dude was a compulsive liar, pathological liar. Get it? Everybody gets it. He's not building this bunker because he wants to leave something for America. He's building a ballroom and a bunker underneath it because he's never fucking leaving.
Mm-hmm.
He never wants to leave. And so what he wants to do is what Israel has done in these caverns in Israel is build a bunker that is so deep that is so intrinsic to the environment that he wants to create, which is an environment where he is always in charge. And that's the importance of this bunker. And if you remember back in I think it was 1936 to 1938, Hitler built something called the Führer bunker,
Yeah.
ballroom, meeting room. Underneath it was effectually and eventually where he died. And how he died was he built all these quarters inside the Führer bunker where he could go if things went really wrong. And things obviously really
Wrong.
fucking wrong in 1944, 1945.
Yeah.
And that's where he ended up killing himself. That's where Goebbels and his entire family off themselves. That is the entire point of this. But Donald Trump doesn't want a place to die. He doesn't want a mausoleum. He wants a place where he can go to control America, to do things to America, to change America's fate, to change America's reality. And what he needs the smartest people in the world to help him build it. That's why the Ellison Group, David Ellison, Larry Ellison are huge, huge financial contributors to this whole thing. That's why Elon Musk, that's why Jeff Bezos are huge, huge financial contributors to this thing, which is how do you keep us at the front of the fucking line? Build me what I need. I will make sure digitally you never have to fucking do any heavy lifting again. And I can stay in office. And that's the importance of this ballroom, which is now morphed into almost double the size, to the point where his initial contractor said, I can't do this because it's not doable. And Donald Trump went and hired a different cat who's like, yeah, I'll do this. And the cat that he hired is a cat that has super serious fucking relations with the Russian government
And the
to
Israelis.
build the Israelis to build the fucking ballroom with a bunker and a Führer bunker underneath it. This is not a game. We're here. This is happening right now.
Yeah, the big thing about this supposed bunker is that it's going to be so heavily fortified as a data center that doesn't have to use the regular internet. So, right now they're still using for government things. Mostly they use the regular internet for all sorts of things. This will be a data center with AI built into it, with mass information about all Americans, all their secret covert operations.
That
will
includes all the information Elon Musk hoovered up with Doge. Yeah.
And all of it's going to be under, very protective war, bomb-proofed environment. It all sounds like a good thing, except you realize that that's going to give the White House and the presidency enormous control
Total
over
control.
so many things.
Yep.
If they control all the data flow that they need in terms of government, they control the military stuff that's going to come out of the same data center. They can do influence campaigns. They can do AI. It really is very troubling to see them amass this sort of digital center right below the White House, because you can't really turn that back after the fact. I mean, it's sort of
let's talk about the fact that this president specifically is so leveraged in the Bitcoin crypto market, which you can't trace. So don't think there's not an exchange down there as well. Don't think there's not a way for him to be able to monetize digital currencies where everybody else gets fucked and he gets rich. Don't think for a second that's not happening as well. What's going on right now with the Führer bunker is just another example of how Donald Trump is trying to make sure that and it's the same thing with him slapping his name on the fucking Kennedy Center. I don't know if you saw that the other day.
Of course, yeah.
The Donald J. Trump and the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, the Kennedy Center, or the U.S. Aid International Peace Building where he put his name on it.
Yeah.
This is just another way for him to put his name and his likeness on something at the White House, so he never has to fucking leave.
And it's also quite serious. I mean, this is, we talked about war earlier with Jacob. I mean, this is the kind of thing you built in preparation for war. You don't need a bomb-proofed data center unless you're thinking it might be bombed. And that's why it's even more alarming that it's happening in this environment where we're considering going to war with Venezuela, where there's these war drums now in Greenland, this strategic document isolating Europe. All of these things together suggest, if he stays there, and he is staying there for now, they'll be planning for war, and a data war at that.
Totally. And that's, he's only being told what he knows. And Donald Trump understands that we're in a different time. This is what the Democratic Party does not understand. We're in a different time. And you have to have all the dogs around you digitally to be able to kind of perceive and create a life and a perception of life that benefits the people that you want to vote for you. That's not something the Democrats have kind of grasped or understood.
No.
That's something Donald Trump truly understands. And whether or not he understands it or he's got people around him who understands it, he's building a universe around himself where everything is catered to that, the perception of reality, how he can warp it, how he can fuck it up, and how he can make you do what's best for him, whether it be donate money, whether it be vote for him, whether it be give away your agency, whatever the situation is. That's the entire point of what he's trying to accomplish right now with this underground government and the underground bunker, which is how do I fucking maintain a hold of what I have? How do I make myself a king? And how you do it is you control the information around the people that you have voting for you and all the people that won't vote for you. And you try to tell them that their life is terrible. That's the entire MO of this Trump regime. And he's doing it now, but now he has government resources to make sure he embeds it in your life. And that is the fucking crazy part of what he's trying to accomplish.
In the same group, he's gonna, he's looking to buy with CNN. They're both Paramount. We'll get to 60 Minutes in a few minutes. There's a scary amount of information consolidation happening in America right now. Let's get to the Epstein files because we haven't heard your thoughts on the Epstein files. We want to get this in today. The Department of Justice is now in violation of federal law. They've missed Friday's deadline to release all the Epstein files under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the law Trump reluctantly signed after House Democrats forced it through. What they did release was heavily redacted. At least 16 files disappeared from the DOJ website. 50 of them, maybe that's not that concerning, but one of them was a picture showing a photograph of Donald Trump inside Epstein's desk. And that was removed and then replaced within 24 hours. Now it's back in the Epstein files after the huge uproar around it. But all
is it back?
Yeah, they said it was back today. I haven't checked,
cool.
double checked, but I heard it's back. This is just they being caught red-handed, really. Trying to remove any references to Donald Trump from the Epstein files, and then they put it back once they were caught. All of it is just not a good look. The cover-up is really falling apart every second it continues. And now, Massey and Representative Khanna are looking to take some action against Pam Bondi, or at least some sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a
Contempt.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Contempt notion, or some sort of attempt to give her some punishment. I don't think she's going to be impeached. That doesn't look likely, but it does, begs the question: why is Clinton in there so much, and why is Trump not in there at all? I mean, those two things indicate.
Does it really? Does it really beg the question?
It just gives you the answer. It gives you the answer as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to read you a confidential witness account of Donald Trump with victims of Jeffrey Epstein that were redacted on Saturday. This is after the dump came out on Friday, because what we know today to be true is that Donald Trump and his DOJ went back and sloppily put out the Epstein files. Less than 3% of what was supposed to be put out was put out. And the Epstein Transparency Files Act requires 100% of all that information to be put out this last Friday. We got less than 3%.
Are you going to refer to the removal of Trump's name from those two court documents?
Yeah.
Because that, I don't think is the actual, I think that story was misrepresented in a bunch of places, and I got caught by it too earlier on. And I
about the nipples?
I put a correction out on that. Yeah. Because this wasn't actually the Trump administration or the DOJ redacting these names. This was a previous court had unsealed these documents, and someone had conflated the two and said that these were redacted by the Trump administration, and it's not. I don't think that story has been accurately portrayed, at least from my research. And I put out a correction on it earlier on, and I never do corrections. So unless I'm wrong.
That's cool. That's cool. It still presents a problem.
Yeah,
right.
But the whole thing is still a problem. The whole thing, because it's we know Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein
that these were unredacted, confidential testimonies of people who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, victims of Donald Trump, whether or not they were involved in this dump or the other dump, whether or not they were redacted after the fact, which they were, doesn't matter. What matters is these are first-hand accounts that were being discounted, still being discounted. and one comes from case 1.15, bunch of different numbers. This is a confidential account of a woman, maybe a young girl at the time who was underage. Don't know the details, my opinion, of a woman who had an experience with Donald Trump. Several girls at any one time. She confided in me about her casual friendship with Donald. Mr. Trump definitely seemed to have a thing for her, and she told me how she kept going on about how he liked her, quote, pert nipples. Donald Trump liked flicking and sucking her nipples until they were raw. One evening when we were showering together, she showed me her nipples. They looked incredibly painful as they were red and swollen, and I remember wincing when I looked at them. I also know that she had sexual relations with Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion on regular occasions, as once I met Jen for coffee. Yeah, that made it in there. Just before going to meet Trump and Epstein together at his mansion, I will shortly start forwarding you all the emails I have managed to save. They include the following. It's all redacted. I moved from Edinburgh to New York. This is a Scotland girl. So you'll be able to figure it out after the fact if you're one of those Epstein investigators. September 2006, shortly thereafter, I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by Natalie. A couple of months later, he constantly stalked me around Edinburgh. I moved to New York, as far away from possible to start a new life. I will send you a photo, blah, 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 blah. That memo, as I just read it to you, was redacted after the fact, and it's publicly available. And here's where you and I kind of, differ in terms of this memo and it being, part of the original dump. It wasn't. It was part of the next dump, the 700,000, where we got less than 3%, and this was already publicly available. In as much as Donald Trump and his DOJ put out a bunch of publicly available information and said it was part of the redacted Epstein files, except they didn't redact these ones. Like they didn't redact several other ones where Jane Doe has now filed a lawsuit against the United States of America for not redacting her name and then putting out her information. Aaron Parnas has that specifically on Substack. Go and check it out. And every other person that was named in the Epstein files in this 700,000 person DOJ dump. There you go. You can have a look at it yourself, minus the redactions. That was readily available 2 years ago online. 2 years ago. The Donald Trump DOJ then put that out and then put this out, as you can see, where they've got extra redactions. Why do they have the extra redactions? Because Donald Trump is just playing for a fucking an audience of one. Everybody around him, he's making sure that they show him that they're taking care of him, that he's not in the files. And that's how fucked he is mentally. That's how messed up he is when it comes to his dementia, when it comes to his ego, is that they're doing this for him. Meanwhile, they're also literally criminalizing the entire process along the way.
Yeah, look, I'm just nervous about this story, but I know what you're saying. This is there's a wholesale cover up that's been going on for a long period of time, and whether it's this particular document or others, what they have done is eliminate any evidence of Donald Trump from these Epstein files, and we don't expect to see any. And more importantly, there's supposedly 297 gigabytes of video and other documents, as many as
What we get?
4,000 documents.
3%, 2%.
We've got 3 gigabytes so far. That's less than 1%. And so where is the rest? And if the rest is all video, because it sure looks like videos in all the photographs, there's all these evidence documents with hard drives and CDs and all these things that contain videos of maybe at least 20 men, prominent men around the world, with women, underage women being trafficked. We don't know exactly because we can't see the evidence.
Who was the only world leader that was shoveled in that whole thing?
Bill Clinton, the only one. Yeah. And that anyone who's claiming to say that there are national security or national defense implications in this, how dare you put out Bill Clinton in that case? Because he's also a president of the United States. And why would you want to embarrass, if you don't want to embarrass Donald Trump, you don't want to embarrass Bill Clinton. Besides, the law doesn't let you do that. The law is pretty clear that you can't hide anything for anyone's. It might embarrass a politician or a
You
public
got it.
figure. So
Yeah,
they have to at
and
least,
you know the interesting part of that whole thing, and sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
of course.
have to. The interesting part of that whole thing is how they said they removed Donald Trump's name specifically in that file and other files, or the pictures of him that were in those files, because they had pictures of other women in those files.
Yeah.
They somehow that only applies to Donald Trump because they put out a scathing giant dump of pictures with Bill Clinton with other Epstein files victims
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah, it was
Like,
very telling that they did that, right?
It's just fuck it. And if that's the excuse you're going to use, apply it across the board.
Well,
Like
they're
that's
not.
the insult to
Yeah.
intelligence of every American that saw that.
There's no sophistication to this cover up. I
No.
mean, that's the other thing that's become blatantly obvious.
Zero.
Is there's just no, that we all know it's a cover up. They're doing a cover up, and they are basically acknowledging the fact that they're doing a cover up by being so bad at it. I mean, it's just stunning to me how, firstly, this photo got through. It's not exactly very hard to tell. Let me just put it up for you here. That that is a picture of Donald Trump, and it's a close up. But if you're doing your redaction thing, you would have found that picture and not put it out. So someone,
Yeah,
very
but meanwhile, the excuse for them to
Yeah.
remove this weekend after they
Yeah.
published it was that there were women in this that might have been victims. Meanwhile, they left all the Bill Clinton pictures, all the Bill Gates pictures, all the not Dershowitz, all the Woody Allen pictures with other women. They left all those up.
Yeah, it's a very.
So
This is clearly a cover up, but it's not a surprise to anyone. It's a cover up. He's been trying to do this for months.
Yeah.
We've been reporting it for months. He doesn't seem to care. He's not been
No.
saying anything about it. Pam Bondi certainly has issued one or two statements, but even she's not doing very much. I think she's going through a medical procedure. So it's all going. Sorry,
she having her brain put back in?
I don't think she has one, so she should need a new one.
No, I don't
But
think she does either.
it's all going down to Todd Blanche, who's basically handling this in the public, and it's a disaster. I mean, this is the worst rollout of anything, of any law that you can imagine. You would want everything complied with, because they've had months to comply with it. We found out today that within 36 hours of before the release, they were still contacting victims to find out if they wanted to be redacted or not. 36 hours. They've had months to prepare for this, and maybe they were delusional.
Oh, dude, they've
or-
had years to
Yeah.
prepare for this. And listen, I put the blame on Biden. I put the blame on Trump. I put the blame on every administration prior to this for not being prepared for this,
Yeah, I mean, you had to.
as we all should.
On The Greatest Heist, which is coming out hopefully in the next day or two, everything that's missing in these Epstein files, I'm going to fill you in on some stuff that is just really interesting. It's going to be all about the actual criminal case or the financial crime that happened in 2008 and how they tanked the market using known, and we've proven it now for the first time. We'll just show you all the proof. We'll show you exactly how Jeffrey Epstein pulled the plug on the market in 2008 to crash the market. And it is a remarkable story, and it's all backed up in documents. I'm 100% sure this is what happened. And then we'll show you the payout that he got, which was over $115 million at the end of it. Personally, the other person who got a payout was Ghislaine Maxwell, and the other person that got a payout was Wexner. So you've got, three very prominent people. Oh, and by the way, the fourth person who got a payout that year, Donald Trump.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Strange.
Oh,
there we go.
we are.
We're back.
I was going there. All right, let's get to, what is it? Oh, it's past 4 already. Oh my gosh. We're going slowly through this today. Let's do this. Number 2 story is, you want to go to number 2 or you want to still talk about Epstein?
Good for number 2.
CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss pulled a fully vetted 60-minute segment on torture at El Salvador's Secot prison, where Trump has been deporting Venezuelan immigrants. Just 3 hours before Sunday's broadcast. This is unbelievable. The segment had been screened 5 times already. It was cleared by CBS attorneys. It was cleared by Standards and Practices. Correspondent Cheryl Alfonsi called it a corporate censorship and a political decision, not an editorial one. Now, at the same time, Human Rights Watch, which is a human rights group, has documented the systemic torture at Secot. They've just published a very harrowing account of what it's like, describing it as hell. And Paramount's new owner, David Ellison, is currently seeking Trump's approval to acquire CNN, as we know. He's also the same guy involved in buying TikTok. And he's the same guy that we spoke about earlier on in the other story about the bunker and the information age. So CBS News is becoming nothing short of a state propagandist.
Well, you kind of knew it, right?
Mm,
The second Larry Ellison was involved, David Ellison was involved, where they bought TikTok, where they bought, how many different organizations did they buy in a period of the last 3 months?
mm.
What'd they buy? Skydance?
But Skydance has bought CBS Paramount. They're now trying to buy Warner Brothers, and which includes CNN, with this new heightened bid. And it's all money coming from the Saudis, from the Qataris, from the UAE. It's money that's it's no good that these foreign ownership of American media is happening in the way it is, because yeah, we've never had this. It used to be illegal for foreign owners to be able to buy American media entities, certainly not on this scale. I mean, now
Yeah.
you've got all these media conglomerates all falling under one entity. Plus, Oracle is the number one streamer of all content in the world. Goes through Oracle. So on top of the fact that they're owning the TV producers and the manufacturers and the
Rumble.
broadcasters, they're
Yeah.
also going to be also controlling the
TikTok.
streaming and
Yeah.
and all the pipeline to that. That is enormous control. And if you think about the bunker they're building out of the White House and a war coming, it's a national emergency that these purchases stop. If we don't halt the purchase of Warner Brothers and this conglomeration of TikTok, Paramount, and Warner Brothers and CNN all in one, it is a very troubling scenario going into a war where you want as much independent broadcasting and independent news as possible, and what you're going to get is state-owned broadcasting.
So you're starting to see the reason why Barry Weiss, who is a Substacker like us,
Mhm.
was elevated to be the head of CBS News. You're starting to see the reason why Larry Ellison, David Ellison bought CBS News. You're starting to see the reason why Donald Trump wants CBS News, Larry Ellison, David Ellison to buy Time Warner when Netflix kind of scooped in and said, we'll buy Time Warner for $82.5 billion. And then now you've got Donald Trump literally saying out loud last week, well, I don't want CNN saying anything shitty about me anymore. And so I want my friends to buy it.
Mhm.
It is, I am so glad we live in the time. I am so glad we live in a time where people are starting to actually say the quiet parts out loud, because now we know.
Mhm.
Now we know why. And what Zev has been talking about, what we've been talking about when we talk about Barry Weiss, and there's a lot of people out there, because Barry Weiss is a female, that will look at conversations like this. Well, you just got a couple of middle-aged guys that are going ham on Barry Weiss because she got elevated to be the CEO of a company. You guys are butthurt, blah, 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 blah. We don't give a fuck. None of us want to be the head of CBS News.
Well,
Zev doesn't. I don't.
I'll
You
take
might.
that job.
You might. I don't.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is this, is that Barry Weiss is an operative.
Mhm.
Barry Weiss is nothing other than an operative of Donald Trump and Netanyahu. I am not including the Israeli government in this. I am not including Israel in this. I'm not including Americans in this. I'm including two people, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. And Barry Weiss has always been a Netanyahu bag licker, a sycophant. And she will do anything for her tribe, for her group, for her people. And that includes platforming Erica Kirk last week like she was a fucking serious journalist. Restarting this thing called The Talk, where she's going to bring Erica Kirk in and she's going to be like, this is fucking insanity to me. How not only have they brought in Erica Kirk, who's a widow of Charlie Kirk, to be the head of a new entire vertical of programming when it comes to CBS, but that Barry Weiss said, we need to stop hearing from other voices and start listening to people like Alan Dershowitz,
All
who
right.
kept his underwear on. And that was when I was like, oh, fuck, I'm done. I'm done with Barry Weiss. Like, you try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But Barry Weiss has led to a 20% decrease in subscriptions to CBS News. Barry Weiss has destroyed CBS News. And in this case, Barry Weiss literally scrubbed an entire feature that took months to put together about the realities of what Donald Trump is using CCOT for. CCOT is a fucking prison. It is a concentration camp for El Salvadorians and anybody else that Nate Bukele, who's the head of El Salvador, will get paid to fucking jail people in. And 60 Minutes did an expose on it, and it was so fucking bad. What did Barry Weiss do? It was so bad for the Trump regime. She's like, well, it doesn't move the ball forward enough. That woman is not entitled to know where the fucking ball is. That's how useless she is at the job she was given. She doesn't know where the ball's supposed to go. All she knows is, what can I do for the people that pay me? How can I fucking treat those people? How can I help those people? How can I show them my loyalty? That is what Barry Weiss is. That is what Barry Weiss has always been. And she is a fucking feckless loser.
You know,
That's what she is.
it's so interesting. The Human Rights, well said, by the way, and the Human Rights Watch today came out with this really horrific report about this CCOT prison, and it says that the Trump administration is complicit in torture, enforced disappearance, and other grave violations, and should stop sending people to El Salvador or any other country where they face a risk of torture. Americans facing a risk of torture. The Venezuelan nationals in the U.S. government sent to El Salvador in March and April, were tortured and subjected to, among other things, abuses, including sexual violence. The cases of torture and ill treatment of Venezuelans in El Salvador were not isolated incidents by rogue guards or riot police, but rather systemic violations. This is hell, said one person as they were described what it was like coming there. It is, and it sounds like hell. And people told him, "You've arrived in hell," when they got there. This is a torture chamber, and it brings unsuspecting immigrants from the United States who are just dragged off the streets, shoveled into planes.
Yeah,
and
but
then
that's
moved
all.
to that
That's all CCOT's always been.
But
Like,
it's the first time we have a Human Rights Watch report, 81 pages, saying very clearly and systemically that there is torture going on against these people who are being removed from America on suspicion of being non-American. I don't know what the term is, and being sent to South America, to these hell chambers. I mean, you know,
it is antithetical to the reason why Barry Weiss was hired. So Barry Weiss spiked the 60 Minutes story into why Barry Weiss was hired.
Yeah.
To hide things like that, to
That's what
hide
CBS
the
is gonna be
human
now.
rights abuses on behalf of Americans, legal Americans, people legally in the United States of America that Donald Trump simply does not want in America. It is ground zero for why Donald Trump is trying to control fucking media in the United States of America. Barry Weiss is a fucking disaster artist. And
so
she is
tragic.
a morally fucking repulsive woman who will do anything she can for the ideology that she follows and the people that she serves. Well, what is the ideology she follows? She follows Trumpism, MAGA, Netanyahu. And that's where she gets her fucking paycheck from. And that is why Benny Johnson exists. That's why Tim Pool exists. That's why Barry Weiss has control of CBS News, is to make sure that she runs as much interference on behalf of her American Israeli cult as humanly possible. There's no other way to explain it. And the fucking crazy part is, I feel like a conspiracy theorist telling you that when it's fucking painfully obvious in everything that we see and everything that we hear coming from Barry Weiss at CBS News.
It's totally true. I mean, this is now a propaganda outfit, and when you think of something as amazing as 60 Minutes, what they used to do, so much incredible reporting, so many exposés over the years that have really opened the eyes of Americans to what's going on around the world, to now have this venerable news magazine, answerable to Barry Weiss, formerly of Substack, who's now telling people what is moving the ball forward on a major investigation with Sharon Alfonso, who's a very good journalist that has been through all the standards and practices and all the
She's
lawyering.
moved the ball forward several
Yeah,
thousand
yeah.
times. Yes.
Yeah, but this is a cleared piece. I know, they're very thorough. They have to be thorough at 60 Minutes. Everything they say is factual. Everything they say is true. They go through the standards and practices of the to make sure everything is exactly as they say it is. And for Barry Weiss to be not allowing Americans a view into CCOT is stunning. The other thing is about Erica Kirk. Did you see Erica Kirk endorsing J.D. Vance at Turning Point this weekend?
28. She called him 28.
This is a woman who supposedly is Christian.
48, actually.
She's a Christian woman, right? who's busy breaking up the marriage of the vice president and his wife, by all accounts. It looks like that's what's happening, in order to run as the vice president's running mate in 28. And then she's endorsing him on stage at the Turning Point event on the weekend.
Did you see the Turning Point event on the weekend?
I didn't.
You see the fireworks,
I watched some of it.
pyro, JD Vance saying, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And then Erica Kirk literally turning it into, this is what Charlie would have wanted.
Did you see the place where you could take a selfie with you with Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
In a recreation of Charlie Kirk's death scene?
Yeah. I have no question. Listen, this is going to sound incredibly unpopular, and it might sound conspiratorial. These are not the actions of a woman who's mourning the loss of her husband. These are the actions of a woman who sees opportunity. These are the actions of a woman who has no problem with her husband being shot in the fucking neck on national television. These are the actions of a woman who is part of something much bigger than her marriage to Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the actions of a woman who doesn't give a single fuck about the America she says that Charlie Kirk served. And I watched her this weekend literally bring Nicki Minaj on stage at the Turning Point USA thing. It was like, hey, look, we got a black girl, y'all.
How much are they paying Nicki?
Look, we got a black girl. We got a black girl doing black things. We can't be all that bad. Erica Kirk is the next Antichrist. Erica Kirk has no problem with her husband being dead because, as she said recently, she was already on the way prior to meeting Charlie to being a boss babe. And so she's just assuming that role now, which is what she has said several times. Erica Kirk is the machination of everything bad that you thought Donald Trump was.
Yeah.
A grifting, lying, murder-hungry piece of shit that has no problem watching her husband getting shot in the neck and then wondering what's in it for her. That's what Erica Kirk is. And so when you watch Erica Kirk videos, like her walking out to a group of people, like her husband got shot in the neck on fucking national television 2 months ago. She's doing a merch drop, throwing out fucking hats into the crowd, like, yeah. That is not any other human being who watched their fucking husband get shot in the head.
No, you don't actually have a recreation of a scene so people can take selfies at the same, the tent recreation of where he got shot. I mean, how insensitive would that be to the widow of that person? But in this case, she's in charge of the organization that's putting it out there. She's like, oh, let's have people take selfies in the tent.
Yeah.
You know,
and charge them $25 for it.
Yeah,
by the way, that was $25 to get a picture with an effigy of Charlie Kirk in a tent.
Monetizing your husband's death is a real sign of
and not just monetizing your husband's death, but then like getting people to sign their emails up so they could go and vote in the next election as young as 12.
Yeah.
That's what happened
while breaking up the vice president's marriage. So she's planning to be his he's the first lady. She's planning on marrying this guy, getting Usha, or whatever her name is, out of the way, and Erica and JD Vance are going to be running for 28, and they're basically using Turning Point as their platform to get there. It is an astonishing turn of events. The number one story on the countdown today: the U.S. Coast Guard is in active pursuit of Venezuelan-linked oil tanker right now. The third vessel targeted in less than 2 weeks as Trump's total and complete blockade of Venezuela intensifies. The Bella One is a dark fleet tanker attempting to evade sanctions. But here's what matters. Saturday's seizure of the Centuries, a Panama-flagged tanker carrying 1.8 million barrels of Venezuelan crude, wasn't even on any U.S. sanctions list. Senator Rand Paul called the seizure a provocation and a prelude to war. Maduro promised to punish the United States. I mean, this goes on and on and on. They're just gonna go.
Do you see the tanker they boarded? I think it was the second tanker. It's actually a Guyanese tanker. It's from Guyana. Yeah.
Of the century, the Centuries, right? That was what's.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is headed for China.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, it's going to Guyana.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, no, it's going to China. They're like, you're going to tell everybody it's going to China. And then the Guyanese government's like, no, we're not. We're going to tell everybody it's coming here because you just took billions of tons of oil from us.
It's unbelievable.
The Trump regime is literally boarding oil tankers right now in Venezuela, telling everybody that they were headed for terroristic countries and keeping the oil.
Yeah, stealing the oil.
They're just
stealing the oil. I mean, this is like piracy. It's like American piracy. Basically, this belongs to us just because you're in our hemisphere, basically.
Because we said,
yeah.
And,
there's
and here's the catch:
Yeah.
is that if you listen to Lev Parnas at all, he had a deal to give something like 2.5 billion. Maduro would leave if you give Trump and his regime 2.5 million barrels of free oil to sell on the open market. And they're like, okay, sold. Well, guess how many liters of oil they've already collected? Something like 1.5 billion liters of oil. Yeah. And they're like, well, we're going to get that. And Donald Trump, to his credit, a few days ago was like, that's our land. That's our oil. We're going to come get it. They stole it from. It's not. It's fucking Venezuela, you dumb fuck.
I mean, yes, they nationalized a lot of the commerce there when they took over, but that's what governments do when they take over. If they want to be dictatorial governments, they will do that. But for America to now claim that oil belongs to them somehow is just bullshit. And for Rand Paul, who's probably the most conservative of conservatives on the and in the Senate, for him to say this is a provocation and a prelude to war is a clear indication of where we're heading. I mean, this is a war-hungry regime. This is all they want to do. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about nations' rights. They don't care about anything, really.
No, they're trying to get Venezuela to react.
Yeah.
And they haven't yet.
Yeah.
And the second Venezuela reacts, somebody like, see, we told you we got to go in. Got to check them out.
Yeah. They've been remarkably restrained. Well, that is the FiveStack today. It was great to get Jacob on. He was terrific. It's great to get you back. You're terrific. And I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know why I can't hear what you're saying. Are you turned on? Did you mute yourself? I think you muted yourself. Well, I can't hear you. It's just me. Okay, I will wait 1 second. While Dean Blundell does that, I can tell you that deanblundell.substack.com is the place to go for an enormous amount of brilliant news coverage. Only Dean knows how to cover what's going on in Europe, and he's been doing an excellent job the last few weeks about how America's posture to Europe is really changing the world and setting us up for a possible world war. And I still can't hear you. Maybe you can mute it on that little button thing here. Anyhow, maybe it's just done. No, still not. Oh, okay. I don't know if he's coming back. Give him a second. Maybe he'll come back. If he doesn't, I'll be here to tell you that is the FiveStack today. If Dean comes back, we'll let him in, of course. I want to share with you that Ground News is our new partner here, and it's a great opportunity right now for you to get 40% off at Ground News just for FiveStack viewers. And the place to do that is by going to groundnews.com/FiveStack. groundnews.com/FiveStack. And that's where you can get our special offer, especially for FiveStack viewers. Are you back? I still can't hear you. I still can't hear you. No. That must be on your side then. I don't know. Okay. Well, that's it then, everybody. Do sign up to deanblundell.substack.com. It's a must subscribe for anyone who's on Substack. It's really terrific stuff. Dean does a fantastic job there every day. You can also subscribe to narrative.org, narrativ.org, where The Greatest Heist, Book 2, Chapter 6 is coming out as soon as I finish writing it. It's a big one. This one really is a big chapter. We're going to take you into the actual crime mechanism. This has never been revealed before. How Jeffrey Epstein triggered the 2008 market crash and how he profited from it. And not only him, but Ghislaine Maxwell, Wexner, and guess who? Donald Trump, all from the same scheme. We'll bring you that story on The Greatest Heist when it's finished being written, and that is soon, hopefully by Christmas Eve, right here on Narrative. And thanks to Dean, thanks to you at home. We love you so much. We really appreciate you being here. None of this is possible without you. And as we see what's happening to media around the world, when we see what's happening to media in America, at least, and how the very thought of journalism is being nationalized, all the major networks are being nationalized. Your support is powering us to be able to give you the kind of content that we're giving you right now. It's independent. No one tells us what we can put on. No one tells us how we can report things. That gives us an opportunity to give you the facts, to give you the truth in a way that literally no other outlet can give you, because of the power of Substack and because of the power of your support. So we thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your support as we head into a holiday season. I think we'll be back tomorrow with the show. I'll double check with Dean. But if we're not, happy holidays anyhow. I hope it goes well for everybody, and hope your family enjoys this time we have together, because it is going to be a very precious time as we head into another wild year. That is the FiveStack for today, Monday, December the 22nd, 2025.